I'm going to talk about evaluating climate change, adaptation, and mitigation efforts in Kenya, challenges, opportunities, and the way forward. Just to give you an introduction of where we come from, monitoring, I come from the Monitoring and Evaluation Directorate, and government-wide Monitoring and Evaluation Directorate, Monitoring and Evaluation in Kenya was actually introduced in 2003. There before we used to have monitoring in programs, projects by different donors, but in government there wasn't a systematic way of monitoring and evaluation. So in 2003, when new government, another party came into power after 24 years of what we had, the KANU government, this party actually came on the platform of good governance. And they said that they were going to ensure that there was economic recovery in the country, improvement in lifestyles, and so in their manifesto, they indicated that they were going to actually introduce government-wide monitoring and evaluation. So in 2003, that party, which was called the NARC government, actually was now implementing the economic recovery strategy for wealth and employment creation. And that document, as a government document, it actually stated that the government was going to have an integrated monitoring and evaluation system for the country. So the Ministry of Planning was tasked with the responsibility of coordinating, and it actually set up the Monitoring and Evaluation Directorate, and the system is called the National Integrated Monitoring and Evaluation System, the NIMES. So already up front we are seeing that there is a system that you can use to monitor climate adaptation efforts, especially looking at what the government is doing. So just as a background, that climate change is creating long-term changes on weather patterns, and this is being aggregated by the emission of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. So increasingly we are seeing that climate change is defining sustainable development and is actually threatening and limiting human potential and freedoms. So according to the UNDP Human Development Report of 2008, I think it said that it's, climate change is creating, is threatening human freedoms and potential. So in Kenya, the sectors that are mostly affected by climate change are in the agriculture, water resources, energy, aquatic and coastal resources, security, health, and tourism. So those are the areas that we find that climate change effect, we are seeing increasingly effect in climate change. So like in agriculture, we are realizing that the weather patterns, the rain patterns have changed. Whereas we used to have long rains, the long rains seasons are shorter, and the short rains are actually longer than we used to know before. And in water resources, Kenya basically is a scarce water resource. Only 17%, we have only 17% of our land, of our water sources, giving us fresh water. And that means that we are increasingly depleting our sources of water. And some of the rivers are drying up, and some of the existing rivers are actually are also going down. In terms of health, these changes in weather patterns have actually made us realize that there are some diseases which are coming up, which there before we thought we had dealt with. Things like malaria, we are seeing malaria in the highland areas. There before we didn't used to witness malaria in the highland areas. They were in the coastal regions and the lake regions. And so we are realizing that climate change is actually with us as compared to more than 20 years ago. So what has the government done to deal with this? We have an instrument, the National Climate Change Response Strategy. This is an instrument that was actually prepared by the Ministry of Environment and Mineral Resources through a consultative process. And some of the objectives of this facility is to enhance understanding of global climate change in the Kenyan context, assess evidence and the impact of climate change in Kenya, recommend robust adaptation and mitigation measures needed to minimize risks, and also enhance understanding of climate change and recommend vulnerability assessments. So this facility, which is in the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, has the mandate to do all that. It is also supposed to help in recommending research and technological needs to deal with climate change, support the formulation of appropriate policies, provide national action plans, resource mobilization, and also support robust monitoring and evaluation plans. So you find that already the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, Mineral Resources, has already come up with an action plan for climate change response. So, as evaluators, we are looking at these instruments that already the National Climate Change Response Strategy Action Plan is already an opportunity that evaluators in the country and even outside the country can use to start evaluating government mitigation efforts, adaptation and mitigation of efforts. So you find that it has several areas, 8 thematic areas that it is looking at, and we can always look at each area and find areas to evaluate. The government also has a facility, that is the African Adaptation Program, which is also being run by the Kenya Meteorological Department in the Ministry of Environment. So that facility also is trying to look at opportunities that how they can evaluate climate change and the mitigation efforts. And together with the Ministry of Planning, there is the threshold 21, we call it T21. It's a model of how you can see the correlations, the economic, social, and environmental issues, and how they impact on the environment. So T21 is actually within the Ministry of Planning, but they are working very closely with the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources, and Environment and Mineral Resources. So I look at these 3 instruments as something that already evaluators can use to actually evaluate the mitigation efforts. There are several areas that the government is looking at in terms of addressing climate change adaptation efforts. So within this framework, it's something that I look at as an opportunity that evaluators can actually use to track and also get new knowledge on how we are performing in terms of climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts. So very quickly, that is what I had. And
you want to add something about the challenges, given that the title was opportunities and challenges, or maybe you can leave it later for questions.
I leave it later.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much.